Well, welcome to today's episode. Today we've got a very special guest, Damien Schreurs. Damien is the Explainer-in-Chief of EasyTECH, a company providing IT training and coaching on topics such as Apple products, Microsoft Office, cybersecurity, and AI. So in parallel, Damien hosts the Macpreneur podcast, featuring practical tips, effective strategies, insightful interviews, all to help solopreneurs save time and money running their business on a Mac. So welcome, Damien.
Thank you for having me, Mark.
Yeah, 100%. And for those of you just joining the podcast, we at Strativa AI help businesses scale their revenue over 12 months using AI. So if you'd like to learn how to take your business to the next level, be sure to stick around for future episodes. And if you're interested in a free growth consultation, just drop the word growth into the DMs below. So Damien, again, welcome. And could you please tell us a bit more of your background, kind of your journey that got you to where we are today?
Yeah, so I have a background in mechanical engineering and actually material modeling. And I've had an 18 years career for a Fortune 500 company, a US headquartered company, but with a research and development facility here in Luxembourg, where I'm living. And it was not 18 years, I think it was 15 years or 14 years after I started. Actually managed to have my employer allow me to start a business on the side. So I started my business in 2013, EasyTECH, but only 1.5 day per week.
I see.
And I did that for 2.5 years. And that allowed me to develop a little bit the business model, see which client, the pricing, and see also if I would be able to be my own boss. And that was good. And so in September 20, I really became 100% independent and had my own business full time.
Fantastic. And so now with your own business, what do the services look like that you're offering?
Yeah, so today it's, I would say, 80% corporate trainings, and it's still 20% what I was doing at the time when I started EasyTECH, which is Apple consulting. So I started, it was mostly B2C consulting as an independent Apple consultant. I'm not affiliated with Apple at all.
Even though know their product really well, is that
exactly?
It?
I'm a fan. Hence the Macpreneur podcast. I'm really a big Apple fan. And
yeah, me too.
Even though, I managed to find clients, I realized a few years in that I didn't really like the job, in the sense that it was always ad hoc and different solutions or different problems. And when I switched from B2C consulting to B2B consulting, I became very quickly the IT guy, the IT person for those small businesses, and gone was my freedom, my time freedom,
you were like on call for tech support 24.
Exactly. The reason why I left corporate to become independent, I had completely lost it again.
All over again.
And so that's when in 2018, I started the pivot, and 2019, that's where I started to have clients for the Microsoft Office training, which is what I started. And then I developed my own cybersecurity curriculum, especially a smartphone security training program. And nowadays, yes, I'm also developing AI training modules as well.
I see. You mentioned that, is it 80% of your business is kind of on the corporate side?
Yes. Nowadays, yes. Now I completely flipped the revenue generation, the business model. And my goal for the next 12 or 24 months will be to expand the Macpreneur brand and to start expanding internationally. And so nowadays I like the work that I'm doing, like it very much. However, it's still not recurring revenue. And it means that if I want some revenue, I need to physically provide a service. And so I'm looking with Macpreneur and the international audience that I'm building right now is to develop a more passive, it's never 100 passive, but it's more recurring and more passive revenue generation.
And that would be along the corporate front as well?
So that would be really different from my client base, my current client base, because for Macpreneur, the ideal client or the ideal listener for the podcast is really a solopreneur who cannot imagine running their business on anything else than a Mac. And now with AI, right, it's how do you run AI on your Mac? That's my personal opinion. I believe the Mac is the best computer platform today to be able to run AI models locally. And so
why is that?
100% private rather than sending stuff to the cloud.
Okay.
So why do I believe the Mac is the best platform? Simply because of the processor architecture that Apple developed and that comes from the iPhone. And they have developed what is called the Apple Silicon family of chips. And it's basically an iPhone chip, but with more cores, so more power and more memory. And
I had to get a new Mac to do this podcast. My old Mac was 8 years old. It was still performing well. And then as we're utilizing Riverside here, I came to find out that it requires at least 8 cores.
Mm-hmm.
And back in the day when I got my MacBook Pro, I got a dual core processor and okay, great. Whatever that means, now I've got 2. Riverside requires 8. And so the new computer that I have is 10. So there we go.
Yeah. And nowadays, so the Apple Silicon chips, the Mac chips are Apple chips with many more cores. But the innovation that was very good with the iPhone and that came to the Mac is the shared memory architecture. So what does it mean, right? Typically in a Windows PC, you have a motherboard with the processor and the RAM, the memory. And then if you want to do graphics computation, so usually gaming, but nowadays AI, right? If you want to run local AI models, those do not run well on the CPU. You need a beefy GPU, graphical processing unit. However, those GPUs, the consumer GPUs, so for gaming, they come with a limit of usually 12, sometimes 16 gigabytes of built-in memory for the GPU. So the memory for the CPU is separate from the memory from the GPU. Whereas with the Apple chips, it's a shared memory architecture, which means that if today you buy a Mac with a 64 gigabyte memory, a processor that has gigabytes of memory, those gigabytes, they can be used for the CPU and the GPU. And on top of that, since 2020, on the Mac, we have what Apple calls a neural engine. So these are little cores specifically for machine learning tasks. So for AI-related tasks. So since 2020, all the iPhones, iPads, and Macs chips processors, they are AI native, right?
Nice.
And that means that nowadays, if you want to do something that requires a lot of memory, so when you run a large language model locally on a computer, the bigger the model in terms of parameters, the more memory it requires. And so nowadays, if you can buy an Apple computer with 128 gigabytes of memory, 256 gigabytes of memory, which is unprecedented in the Windows PC world. In the consumer PC world, you cannot do that. You need either to have multiple machines in parallel, so you have to buy a lot of graphics cards that are maybe $1,000, $1,500 a pop.
Right. That adds up.
And I don't say that it's cheap on the Mac either, right? If you want a Mac that has 64 or 128 gigabytes of shared memory, it's going to be a little bit more expensive. You need to go with the Mac Studio, for instance, or a MacBook Pro with an M-Max chip, which can go, I don't know, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. But still, at the same time, you have a Mac and you have a very powerful machine.
Yeah. Nice. And so you're rolling that out, and help me understand then. So that is the Macpreneur stuff is where you're going more international?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have the podcast has an international audience. I have listeners from all over the globe on all continents. And the idea is to start offering a paid community and maybe also a free community
Okay.
to help those solopreneurs learn tips, tricks, and together share different automations that we do on our Mac, right? I may be a power user. Yes, I am a power user.
I would say so.
But I don't know everything, right? I learn stuff every day. I listen to myself to other podcasts, whether on AI or Mac related. And it would be nice to share with fellow solopreneurs how they are using their Mac and how they are finding these little tricks to be more productive and save time and use AI on their Mac.
I see. Yeah, I didn't really take into consideration how the Mac really sounds like it's got that because of the AI internal architecture for the past 5 years, just knowing that it's inherently stronger to do AI because of that. And I'm sure that, attendees here and then also in your community really probably learn a lot to be able to put that to use the best. So I find that very interesting. And so you're doing that in concert with the work that you're doing more locally in the EU there for corporate. Is that right? Can you speak to that side of things?
Yeah, so at the moment, those two branches are completely unrelated.
Right.
The way I see Macpreneur and what Macpreneur is at the moment is a side. It's a side gig, or it's a side activity.
Right.
It doesn't. It generates a little bit of revenue, but it's mostly affiliate revenue at this point. But the way I see Macpreneur versus EasyTECH is at the moment EasyTECH is kind of a bridge. Yeah, it's my bridge revenue maker, right? So that's how I pay the bills at the moment. And I don't have a lot of clients, but my clients are very faithful. So what I like about my business model is I don't need a lot of clients. I just need a few clients who book me many training days during the year. And it's a yearly cycle, right? So we are recording this in October 2025, already booked 35 full days of training for next year for one of my clients. And I'm in process of talking with a few other clients about other training sessions. And so when I have a client, then that one client brings me a lot of revenue. As long as the more training sessions they book, the more revenue I get per client.
Yeah. And so when you're working them, what is it that you're providing them?
And so, it's mainly group training sessions between, let's say, 10 and 20 participants in the training room. And I have a catalog of topics. So Excel from beginner modules to advanced modules, like including macros and VBA and pivot tables and stuff like that. I have the same with Microsoft Word and Microsoft PowerPoint. And basically they organize, which is also nice. They organize the training sessions, and I'm just one of the many training providers, external training providers. For my biggest clients, it's still remote training sessions that I do the most, right? Maybe 60 to 70% of my training sessions are still remote. So my office is in my house.
Yeah.
And so I log into the online training platform and deliver the training session from home. And from time to time, I go in my clients' offices and deliver the training over there.
Wonderful. And how much of that training is geared around some sort of AI implementation or AI usage?
At the moment, very little. It's mostly AI introductions and basic LLM prompting and stuff like that. And it's very few sessions at the moment. I'm more known for the Microsoft Office stuff, right? And one of my, let's say, strong suit is the fact that because I worked for 18 years for an American company and I had to write reports in English and do presentations in English and use the Microsoft Office suite in English with the English version of the interface.
Right.
I'm also, so usually my clients, they also call me because I can do it both in French and in English.
Nice.
And in Luxembourg, it's a very, let's say, international community because we have people from Belgium, Germany, France, but actually from everywhere around the world.
Yeah.
And so as soon as there is a non-French speaker in a training room, then we switch in English and I do the training in.
Nice. I love it. Well, you've got a very good, commanding understanding of English. So hats off to you there with your bilingualism.
Thank you. My wife is British as well, so
that helps.
That helps as well. Even though we speak in French together, but when we go back to the UK.
Yeah.
and
oh, that's great.
I don't watch TV a lot. The only thing we have is the British satellite channel. So anyway, what I watch on TV is in English.
Nice. Okay. And so what sort of challenges have you faced, maybe just internally putting together some AI workflows or with some sort of those more commercial companies that you're working with, knowing that you're not teaching AI, but as the challenges have come up, do you have any takeaways that you could share, any lesson learned about any challenges that the AI may have given you?
Yeah, so one thing, so I've been a ChatGPT Plus subscribers for a while, and actually almost at the beginning. So I was really relieved when they started offering the Plus subscription for me here in Luxembourg, actually in Europe, because at the beginning, I think it was only limited to the US and Canada. But when they rolled it out for me, I was really, really happy to finally have a paid subscription. And something that now I realize, and I think a lot of people realize it as well when they released ChatGPT 5, the fact that OpenAI has very little experience offering software or online services to people who depend on it, especially businesses, small businesses, or solopreneurs like me. That's when I saw the big difference with Google and Gemini. The fact that suddenly, right, they changed, we didn't have access to the old models. I had created GPTs, so custom GPTs, to help me do my work, and I've completely flipped. And I was like, I panicked. Because I was like, will they work? And I realized, okay, now I need to spend an hour or two testing all my custom GPTs to make sure they still deliver a work the same way that I expect them to work.
That's good, though.
And on the flip side, because I'm a Google Workspace for Business subscriber as well, I was a bit pissed off at the beginning with Google for pushing Gemini on us, right?
Right.
We didn't have the choice to, they increased the price of the Google Workspace subscription, and they say, here you have it, you can use Gemini now. But in the end, I really enjoy Gemini. I prefer Gemini's output to ChatGPT's. And from a user interface and feature, the way they roll out feature on the Gemini site, on the Google site, you see the experience. You see that, okay, Google is not the perfect company, but they know how to release software, release cloud services.
Right.
And also the interface, the Gemini's interface was much more streamlined than ChatGPT's, almost from the get-go. And so that's one thing, right? For people who rely on a specific tool, be careful if the company behind that tool has very little experience dealing with change management, but also dealing with customer expectations, user experience. And that's something that myself, right? I'm a techie. I enjoy discovering new things, but I'm going very slowly, and I refrain myself from adopting any new tool that comes out, because you never know how long those companies will be around. And that's that's maybe the advantage of OpenAI, right? They are the biggest player right now in the LLM space. So they can rely on that. But at the same time, it's, you have to be careful. And the way I cope with that, and what I've done almost since the beginning, is always have multiple LLMs in parallel and run them in parallel. And I have an Apple Note where I have a few standard prompts, and then I will run those prompts through different LLMs and compare the output, and also compare the output over time, right? So we had ChatGPT 3.5, then we had 4.0, and then we had O1 mini, and then the O3, and so on. Every time I run the same prompts, and I have a big tables where I have the model name model name at the top, and then the output of the prompt in each column to see how they compare.
Compare and contrast.
Yeah.
That would be interesting to see. Yeah. And so as it's evolved over time, if you're taking a look at what those results were, but then thinking bigger picture as well, where do you think the emerging trends are in AI right now?
So, AI is much bigger than large language models. So we have image generation, video generation. So I see two trends, one not so positive and the other more positive. So the one trend is the social mediaification of AI and AI companies, right? OpenAI released Sora 2, which is kind of a clone of TikTok, but only with AI-generated videos. And to me, it doesn't make any sense. I don't see how that fits with OpenAI's declared mission of creating the first AGI system. So that's one thing. And the other one is the ability for anyone who has a good idea to create software, to create applications, but not necessarily iPhone applications, but could be web applications. It could be any kind of application, but basically they have a problem. They cannot find an app or a service, an online service that off the shelf offers the solutions to them. It's going to be easier and easier to just type or speak to a system, an AI system, which will build the thing for us. And if it's only for us, then it doesn't really matter, right? We don't need, there won't be a feature creep. It will be just very specialized tool that help us. And maybe a third one is, and that's something that I, to be honest, I'm a bit scared of, is the merging of AI and large language model or multimodal AI and robotics, because it's going to happen sooner or later. It's going to happen. I was watching a bunch of, recently there was iRobot that was rebroadcasted on television.
Right.
I'm watching with Will Smith. I'm watching a TV series called Humans, which is an adaptation of a Swedish TV series which only had one season. And in all those movies and TV series, they were thinking that AI would start as an embodied AI, right? Like artificial intelligence inside a humanoid robot.
Right.
And I think it's going to be the opposite, because now the AIs will be will understand us, and we will be able to converse with those AI systems like other humans. What's missing is the embodiment of that AI system. And so that's going to be for me 5 years, 10 years. But people worry about losing their job to the LLMs. Well, once we have AGI embedded inside a humanoid robot, we will need to worry a little bit more than that.
Yeah, that'll be on a whole different level.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that Elon Musk has some time horizons around that. I know that he's working very hard in putting those together on, I think, his latest version of his very humanoid robots. And I know that he's very geared around also the idea of like the hand and how intricate it is so that they get that right and that they're getting the intelligence part right as well. And I know that I think there's a third aspect that he's specifically working on to really take that idea of meshing the AI with the droid aspect of it so that, yeah, we could put them to work, have them to work alongside us or what have you. So very interesting. I do feel as though that's definitely an early trend happening, probably not to scale quite as much as the second one that you were mentioning in regards to just people coming up with their own use case apps. And so people that are just doing the vibe coding on Replit or on Lovable and those sort of platforms, I think that one's probably going to come to fruition or to, wider usage earlier as people can just play and tinker with things that are going to make their lives simpler. And then they see that it could roll out to others and maybe be beneficial as well. And there's some very real world cases like that going on right now. As a matter of fact, I forgot what the one is called, but there's a couple that are local, here in the US, like when ice is coming into these, it's called Ice Block, I believe.
Yes.
And are you familiar with what's going on there?
Yeah.
So he built that. Yeah, he built it, himself as a very useful tool that has quickly spread just because of the controversy around the subject of ice going into neighborhoods and or cities. And so it really had like a viral spread. And then there's, a lot of pushback by the government now. So that's kind of just one example of how forming an app is very easy these days that has that very targeted use and could still have a lot of impact. So yeah, definitely. And I think it's an exciting time because that gives people's creative minds the ability to help make their lives more efficient, simpler, and therefore for me, it's always about like, how is the AI creating more space in our lives so that we're able to show up in either our business, the thing that we're doing with greater clarity or more impact or serving more customers. But then also because it is gaining our time back, that we're able to spend more time in our community with our friends, with our kids. That's always my big thing is, how are the kids being affected? And so, yeah, I think that's definitely a merging trend right now as well. That's fantastic. And how do you foresee the relationship between AI and human workers, particularly in terms of collaboration, between like AI agents and humans? How do you see that coming into play in people's job roles?
Yeah, I believe that people will be less doers, or they will be less involved in the day-to-day operations, and mundane tasks or repetitive tasks, or frankly tasks that don't really need a lot of brain power, those will be delegated to AI agents, and humans will become more managers, orchestrators, QA, quality assurance people. So I think there will be people at two sides. At the top, managing the AI agents, making sure that they get fed the right input. But then there will be humans at the end of the chain to double check the output. I think it's going to be, well, like in factories, it's going to be spot checks. You cannot you cannot test the quality of 100% of the products that are produced.
Right. Yeah, you need to do random sampling.
You will do random sampling and spot check. And again, so everything that we know from traditional quality assurance for manufacturing is going to be similar, but looking at the output from agents. And I think that at the beginning, in the short term, you will have subject matter expert fine-tuning the agents. And I see a point where there could be agents creating their own sub-agents
Sure.
Once an agent has been fine-tuned and can do properly the job of a subject matter expert, how much do they need those subject matter experts, right? So
Right.
it's just checking that there is no variance or deviation from the expected output. That's where I think we will still need humans. What I'm worried about is the trust factor, right? And actually the lack of trust with everything that gets produced. So lack of trust from us users towards the AI companies. That's going to be number one. And number two is whatever people produce with AI. Nowadays, I don't know if you've looked at the Sora 2 videos and VO3
Yes, I have.
videos. Some are really like difficult to spot that it's AI generated. And to me, there's going to be a clash at one point. There's going to be like, I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there already have been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That society will be, how do I say that? It's going to be more difficult to trust what you see and what you hear, what you
Yeah.
see on TV, what you see online, what you hear, even the podcast that you listen to. There was a podcast that I listened to, and they said that there was a company that was creating 3,000 episodes per week using AI and flooding the
Yeah.
Apple Podcast and Spotify. 3,000 episodes per week.
Yeah, that's crazy. I've heard of something similar. I wonder if it's the same one. I know that there's the tech out there that's available for people to do that. I don't remember exactly what it is, but it only makes sense, right? Like when you put together some strong prompting and agents, and then you give it the framework of working in a podcast, and then you tell it to, create these episodes, it makes sense. I've heard it in the sense also that like it could be like this, where I'm the guest. I don't know about the visual part, but certainly the audible part, right, is, going back and forth with like a fictitious guest. And then, of course, there's the very simple type where it's just like I know a gentleman and his podcast is personally speaking only for about 10 to 15 minutes and it's just him. There's no guest. And I would think that would be very easy to replicate because then you have just the one voice and it's, in essence, a monologue, and you clone your voice using 11 labs or what have you, and then you parse it out. Yep. Yeah. So as we start to wind things up here, Damien, what advice would you offer to businesses that are, say, at all hesitant about adopting AI into their business in like a strategic spot where they're seeing possibility, but they're not kind of pulling the trigger on it right yet, if you will?
Yeah, so I think number one is the why. Why? Because if somebody is hesitant, how do you make them think differently? Because they are hesitant for a reason of multiple reasons. And so oftentimes I hear people saying, yeah, but be careful, your competitors with AI who are already adopting AI will leapfrog you and you're going to be behind. I don't buy that argument too much in the sense that the reality today, it's hard. I think you must see it every day. It's hard for established businesses to change anything, right? And I've seen it in my previous company as well. But I heard another argument that I like a little bit more is, but you don't know who will be AI native, right? Who has no preconception of how work is done in your industry, in your sector, in your line of work. And those who will adopt AI and start their business using AI, they will leapfrog you and they might actually disrupt you. It could be because they are able to offer the same service at a much lower cost, or because they are able to offer much higher quality for the same cost.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
So
it could be either,
so
for sure.
It's the same price for the client, but you get much more than what you pay with an AI hesitant company.
Right.
Right. And Another reason why some companies are hesitant is because they may believe that you need data scientists, you need a lot of people who know AI very well and stuff like that. When in reality, it's like everything. If you start small and you look at, okay, what are the lowest hanging fruit? And another thing that I heard recently in a podcast is I think it's called the eyebrow.
The eyebrow? That's
The
a new one. What's that?
eyebrow technique. So when you ask somebody, an employee, what's the thing that you do every day or every week that you think is completely dumb and should not be done, or it's like the most painful thing you have to do?
Most monotonous or what have you?
Exactly.
Okay.
The eyebrows, like, no, this I hate.
I see, like the emoji of the
Yes.
eyebrows. Gotcha. Right.
You just say, okay, what if we tried with AI or any automation technique? Oftentimes, what I see also around me is that AI is a nice buzzword, but all the AI consultants that I'm in contact with, what they start doing is simple process improvement. It's like, let's remove,
Workflow automations.
And without even needing AI, just say, okay, you receive that information by email, and then you have to type it in a cell. So there are already tools like Zapier and Make.com that can do these things without AI, right? So let's start with the lowest hanging fruit, the thing that you hate doing, and just revise your processes. Let's look at your processes, the thing that you do repeatedly. How can you smooth it out? How can you automate that? And maybe AI can fit in, maybe not.
Very well said. I totally agree. I think that the simple processes, those workflow automations can even be seen as really just early AI, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's something doing something for us, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So the way I internalize that now is, so there are two types of processes: processes that are deterministic and processes that are non-deterministic, or they don't provide a deterministic output. And so those that are deterministic, you just do traditional automation techniques. And whatever it is non-deterministic, then that's when AI comes in, because almost by definition, LLMs are and image generation, and those are non-deterministic. You can run the same prompt 20 times, we'll get 20 different outputs, not extremely different, but they will be different. And whenever you have these kinds of processes, that's when you think, okay, yes, AI may make sense. And on the flip side, right, if you have a deterministic process, do not integrate AI into it, because it will become non-deterministic and you will not like the output.
Right. Yeah. That'll go in a totally different direction.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good. Well, Damien, I want to thank you for being here. This has been absolutely fantastic. I learned a lot from you. I certainly think and hope that our audience does as well. And for those of them that would like to learn more, can you share about where they can find you, find Macpreneur, and so forth?
Yes. So yeah, if you are a solopreneur who cannot imagine running your business on anything else than a Mac, just visit macpreneur.com, or
nice
going to YouTube and you look and you search for Macpreneur FM. That's the YouTube handle. All the episodes are both audio and video, like this podcast. Yes. And if you are a US company, but I would say in like the same time zone as as New York, which is only 6 hours behind me, right?
Yeah.
Feel free to visit easytech.lu. And your morning is my afternoon, so we could organize Microsoft Office training sessions, half-day sessions, right, remotely. So that's a possibility as well.
That's a fantastic offer. Very good, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, I appreciate your time, and thanks. I look forward to connecting with you more.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was nice, Mark.
Very good. Have a good day.
Yes. Bye-bye.